Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Cinephiles Hour.
TCA.
Pod. That's us. How are we doing?
I'm doing okay. It's been a cold Illinois winter. We've had multiple days that are colder than Alaska, apparently. I actually do not know that, but I have, for the first time in my life, I have seen minus 20, which is insane.
Minus 20 Celsius?
Habibi, I really don't know if it's Celsius or Fahrenheit, Broski. I'm not really paying attention to that anymore. I remember when I first came to, when I first came to America, I was very, type A about like, oh my God, we use Fahrenheit back home, that. But I think I only did that for like 2 years. Then I believe I switched. I don't know if I switched back. So I'm thinking I am Celsius right now.
Yeah, I think that's the exact same story for me. I switched to, obviously I was Celsius for the first couple of years. I switched to Fahrenheit and I was like, I'm not about to let these people change me.
Yeah, my bad. I think I'm in Fahrenheit. Yeah, so it was minus 20 Fahrenheit.
Minus 20 Fahrenheit. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dog. Like, it's only so long that you can like, hold on, basically.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's at one point
that one and 24-hour clock are two things I'm still holding on to because I've changed to pounds, I've changed to miles. I don't even think I ever used meters to measure my height. I think I've always been feet. But 24-hour time and Celsius, I'm still holding on to those two.
I think 24-hour time, you're being an attention seeker. So like, that's not.
An attention seeker is crazy.
I think you're being a big attention seeker because
that's a hill I'll die on. Because how is 13? If you ever see the time 13 something, it makes sense. But if you see 1:53 and there's no AM or PM attached to it, what time is it?
You look outside the window. No, truly, look outside the window.
Okay, let's say you get an email saying this meeting will be held at 7. Like, you get an email saying this meeting tomorrow will be held at 7.
What job do you work that requires you to be working at 7 p.m.? That is part of your agreement.
It could easily be 7 p.m. I have no job that requires me to work at 7.
Mm-hmm.
My work times are 8 to 6. So I have 7 is an off time.
So the thing is, most people work a work time that is 8 to 6, similar to you, or 9 to 5.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
We can even stretch it. Maybe it's 10. We can stretch it. We can make it. We can bring it up, brother.
My point is, if you get an email saying it's 7, I'm right. There's no indicator of if it's ante or post meridian or whatever. So you don't know when that is. But if it says
Steve,
19,
social
then
norms.
I know that's 7 p.m.
I need you to understand that social norms dictate that AM is the time for meetings. Either way, it's unless it's something weird like it's 4 a.m. and you're gonna know the meeting is at 4 p.m. If they say the meeting is at 4, it's at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And also, the craziest thing now these days, we have these things called calendar invites. So you don't even really need to do that math. Someone just sends you a link or adds it to your calendar.
Ofili, how's your week?
I'm just here and interested in your 24-hour clock logic, but it's okay. My week has been okay. I'm trying to recollate the things I've watched this month. It's not been a great month for me. The highlight has definitely been Anatomy of a Fall and Society of the Snow.
Okay. I haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall. I have to see that one. When they were reading these nominations, I'm like, damn, I need to catch up on a lot of things. But,
really?
Yeah.
It's been a decent period of time. Let me say it like that. It's been decent, bro.
But my week was good. The cold that swept over the country has affected me a little negatively, I will say, mentally. I don't know. You think like seasonal this affective disorder is over, and then like you get a huge wave of snow that's just like, bro, we haven't even started.
I'm sorry, Mick Steve. You need to. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you need to explain to me how would seasonal affective disorder be over in January?
That's my point because it wasn't cold at all. So I thought,
Hmm.
okay, maybe the past, the little depression that I've seen is the end of it all. I was not expecting that Christmas snow at all. It took me
I
calm.
didn't even know it snowed on Christmas. I'm sorry about that. That sounds horrible.
It's calm. But we're good. We're good. I turned off all the lights. Light therapy, very underrated. And we're back.
Did you say you turned on all the lights?
Turn on. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, light therapy is the cure for seasonal affective disorder.
No, I absolutely did not know
I
that.
learned that from a past woman. Shout out women. All the women that know things. I need them in my
Shout out all the women that know. Well, what about the women that don't know things?
I'm sorry, no shout outs for them. You can get that shout out another day
That's
when they
wild.
learn. Read a book or something.
Read a book. So you only value women when they contribute to your life?
Moving on.
Oof. Crazy, Steve. Way to start this episode, dog.
Moving on.
I don't know what's so funny to you, man. Like, why are we high right now?
I can hear the replies I'm going to get when my friends will listen to that part.
Of
But
course.
it's all good. I've been watching a lot though. The good part of being snowed in is you just sit in front of your TV and watch anything. I think I've realized that you know how when people are sad, they put on a sad movie or listen to sad songs to make them sadder. I
Hmm.
don't do my brain doesn't do that. Maybe music, yeah, I'll listen to sad music when I'm sad. But when I'm like down, I don't watch sad movies. If I'm watching a sad rom com or a sad film, it's typically because I just want to feel something. I'm likely in a good mental space. I know myself well enough not to watch that because it will affect me. But
The
if I'm
problem
watching,
here, Steve, is that I know you're a liar because we have discussed and we have bonded over watching normal people when we're in horrible mental states.
not a coincidence. I do not do that. I don't do that to myself. After my breakup, I did not. I was watching normal people leading up to my breakup. After the breakup, I stopped watching it and just looked for something else. So,
That's interesting.
but if I'm watching a string of very shitty movies, that's how you know that I'm in a down place. Like if I'm sad, I would just put on the worst film you've ever seen and then follow it up with an even worse movie, and it just goes on and on and on. So, needless to say, my recent have been Now You See Me,
Hmm.
Lucy. Do you remember Lucy from like
Yeah, I
20?
remember Lucy with Scarlett
Yeah,
Johansson, where
yeah,
she like
incredible.
ate something and she basically ended up being a computer. She ended up as
Yeah,
AI.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So stuff like that. That's what I've been spending my time doing, and it's been great. It's been terrific.
I think it's a fun time.
Yeah, two brain cells amongst the entire cast, and there you go, having a great time.
I think you had a ball. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm back.
Happy that you're back. Now,
Yesterday, the Academy, as they always do, decided to shock some members of the film world. Not me,
I
though.
want to be honest with you, Steve. I really don't want us to get into that.
Okay.
Like, I know this isn't okay. So for the listeners, this is going to be an Oscar not recommendations, but
Reaction.
reaction
Yeah.
episode. So we're just going to be focusing on what the norms were, who we think is going to win, how we feel about everything. And yesterday there was like a massive amount of outrage. I feel like a decent amount of it was performative because I feel like a lot of people did not watch majority of the movies that have been nominated.
Yeah.
And I think people are also they're confusing a commercial success with a great movie.
Word.
So Steve, you can start your take. Then I
Okay.
will we can do it this way that I read what the nominees are for each category. But I want you to start your take before we dive into what we're gonna dive into.
Yeah. There was an episode that we did where we're talking about people's reactions to, sex scenes and, saying basically calling for more censorship in film. And you had said in that episode, you just want people to watch more movies. And I think times like this, sure, the Oscars are they're pretty small. It's just 23 awards. I think it's one of the smallest out of all the major ones. And
Absolutely.
it's usually the same films. I've been tracking the Oscars for some time now. It's typically around 30 something movies or even less that get nominated all through. It's usually the same main one. So it's pretty small, right? But even at that, people don't watch those movies. Like the normal person or the average person, let me not say normal, is not seeing up to 10 films a year, let's be honest, And they're seeing the ones that are in their face. They're seeing the ones with the most marketing, the ones with their favorite characters or favorite actors in them. And so come award season time, those are the films that they're looking to get represented to get some positive reinforcement, I guess, that they had a good year for film. No
Yeah.
offense to people, obviously, that aren't watching more movies. But if you're not watching more, like, you can't be disappointed when the
Like, you
one or
can't
two or
have
four.
that crazy amount of outrage when
Yeah,
you don't know what it's losing against or being compared against.
it's that simple. It really is that simple. And so that's how I want to start this. I wasn't outraged by anything. I had a few um performances that I wanted to get nominated, but those were my dark horses, and I knew they weren't going to get nominated.
I
Um,
only have one fight. So, okay, yeah, I think just to like transition this a little bit into like what we're about to do. So, we're going to start off not in the right order, but just to like go straight into what the predominant beef has been. And
okay,
it's for the best actress category.
yeah,
And people are upset. The nominees for best actress are Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carrie Mulligan for Maestro, Emma Stone for Poor Things.
yeah.
Now, people are upset that a big name is missing, and that is Margot Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, I don't know how Margot Robbie is getting into this. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know how her performance in Barbie is getting into this. What do
Yeah,
you think?
I'm a little disadvantaged here because I haven't seen Nayad and Anatomy of a Fall, so I can't speak to Sandra and Annette Bening. Yeah, I can speak
Yeah.
to both of those because I haven't seen them. But when I made my draft, Sandra has been nominated at almost every major
Yo.
award show this season, so I knew she was a lock. The three locks, I didn't even know Lily was a lock because Lily wasn't nominated for. Lily's my pick, by the way, but I didn't know she was a lock because she wasn't nominated for the
No,
back.
Lily Gladstone is easily the pick.
Yeah.
Problem is, there's a different problem that I have with like the outrage around Lily Gladstone and like the subsequent like comments that she's put up.
Mhm.
But let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I think who do you think is not meant to be in this group?
The Naya, that's why I don't know her name. Annette Bening, she's not been on the circuit as much as compared to the rest of them.
Yeah,
I'm not saying she's not meant to. Again, I haven't seen it.
I get that.
But performances that I've seen, the three, Lily, Emma, and Carrie, I think that's deserved. I think they're all three of them are deserved. I personally would even pick Greta Lee before Margot Robbie. And I would also pick Teyana Taylor for 1001 before Margot Robbie. So it's like, sure, you take out Annette Bening and maybe put in Margot Robbie, but personally, I would have Greta Lee before Margot Robbie. I would have Teyana Taylor before Margot Robbie. And yeah, so I think if you're saying who wasn't meant to be, my pick would be Annette Bening.
I'm right here beside you, bro. I think I tweeted about this. And I don't think I tweeted that it is Annette Bening that's meant to be out because, I don't know, I've toned down my hating because truly, Naya to me, oh my God. Naya to me was one of those like movies that were kind of not soulless, but it was made for award season.
Award bait, Oscar bait.
Yeah, it was Oscar bait.
Yeah.
And it got the Oscar nominee. It got a couple of Oscar nominees, so respect to them.
Yeah.
They did their job, but like it wasn't a film that I particularly enjoyed.
Okay.
But
I don't think
again,
you're alone in that.
It's not a story for me, I guess. It wasn't just a film that I particularly enjoyed. Same thing with like Asteroid City. It wasn't a film I particularly enjoyed, but I see that it is something good.
Yeah. I don't think you're alone in thinking that as well. So But if you take out Annette Bening, who are you replacing her with?
Oh, easily past lives Greta Lee.
Like, so
Greta Lee.
that's my
I
thing.
tweeted that one. I know I put that on my socials. I was like, the outrage for Barbie is insane. Because honestly, in the last 3 years, I don't even think Barbie is even her best cameo.
Are we talking Babylon? Babylon is in the running?
Babylon is like the easiest, like
Like,
one of the most insane performances from her.
if they need to be outraged, that's where the outrage should come from,
That's where the outrage should come from. But again, the problem is people are not watching the long movies. That's why people didn't watch Killers of the Flower Moon. They didn't watch it because it's a long film.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my general review to that. But we can go through the categories, I guess. So we've done.
Okay. So the next category, we're gonna go from the actual order. So Best Picture, we have American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Okay, so reaction. I've seen 7 out of 10. Haven't seen American Fiction, haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall, and I haven't seen The Zone of Interest. I have no
one has seen Zone of Interest. I don't know why it's here. No one has seen Zone of Interest.
I'll be honest and say when the list was coming, I was like not expecting, but I was half hoping for Iron Claw, and not because it's
really.
I don't think it's really good. I'll explain. You know how there's obviously Oscar bait movies. We just called Naiad. Maestro is Oscar bait. If we're being honest, it's good.
Maestro is 100% Oscar bait.
Yeah, it's good, but it's Oscar bait.
I don't know about that, but it's 100% Oscar bait.
We haven't had a Maestro episode. That's why we haven't shared our opinions, because I watched it after you talked about it, and my opinions differ so much from yours.
But the problem is, Steve, at the end, I was right.
You were right in what sense?
Cillian Murphy's awards were safe.
His award...
They were safe. They went home with him that night. And very likely, at the end of the Oscars in March, they're going to go home with him again.
They're safe from Bradley, sure, but we were not expecting Paul Giamatti to have the run he's run. He's been winning. He's been winning,
He's been winning in a very weird way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to say it without being kind of mean about it. But I really feel there is like a hold Paul Giamatti has on guys in their like late 20s to early 30s. It's like a special like set of white dudes that you can just tell that like they love seeing Paul Giamatti on screen.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much of a dick he is or how much weird he is. To them, he's like some poor misunderstood character that deeply resonates with them. And for me, throughout that movie, I just couldn't believe that the kid was 18 or 19.
Yeah, same.
With the chops that he did, he cooked. Cooked.
Bro, I'm saying, so when I said I had 2 dark horses, Dominic Sessa was one of them. I told my friend, for me personally, like love Randolph, love Giamatti. They're getting awards, rightfully so. Sessa was my favorite performance in that film, bro.
He was so good.
He moved me. Obviously, Randolph's was more subtle. Sessa's was in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Randolph's is, very. She's the soul of the film, if you will. It doesn't work without her. Blah blah blah. But Sessa, man, I'm sorry, I couldn't. That was his first role ever. Like
I know. I heard he like actually snuck on.
Mm-hmm. I guess they were shooting it at the school that he went to, and so he just auditioned. He just went on got into the audition just because he was around, and that's it.
Best actor: Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin.
Sorry, no. You didn't say your pick. Who's your pick for Best Picture?
Oh, my pick for Best Picture was Oppenheimer. It was very. Okay. I told you, it's safe. He's taking that home again.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now Best Actor: Coleman Domingo, Bradley Cooper, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright. Yeah,
so I've been tweeting that I want Coleman Domingo to win this because I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen clips. And he just looks like he's acting up. It's like it's a real. Sure, I saw a tweet saying that it was elevated by Sterling Brown, so I guess I need to see it to make my verdict. But he's been my pick prior to award season. Obviously, having followed award season very closely, I think it
Mm-hmm.
would be stupid to bet against Killian. I think this is Killian's to lose.
And
And I rewatched Oppenheimer was back for a limited reissue in IMAX, which is the last time we're going to see it in IMAX for a while. So I had to rewatch it, and I wish I could take back a lot of things I said in our Oppenheimer episode, because the first time I saw it, I was watching it from a very technical perspective. So, like I said numerous times, it changed my life because I'd never seen any film like that ever. But this time I was following the story, and I understood the story a lot more, and I understand now why you had that medium write up after you saw it, because this is really, again, I was looking at it from the bomb and the story and the making and the wars. This time I just approached it from Oppenheimer, which is what I was supposed to do, and the way he really embodies the character. I read a little bit of Hindu text that
mm,
influenced Nolan's writing of the film, and Jesus Christ, like, yeah, it's a broken man. It's really a film about a broken man. The bomb is
it's
just a
really a
supporting.
film about a
The
broken
bomb,
man,
the
and
bomb is just a supporting character. The
the
whole
bomb is
trial,
really it's a literary element. Do you
yeah.
understand? Like,
It
I'm
could
so
have been.
sorry
It
to the
could
people
have
that
honestly have been any other thing. Like Nolan could have chosen any other thing, and it wouldn't have taken that much. Technically, it would have changed the film, but the story has not. Like the bomb has barely nothing to do with it.
like, I need you to understand, like, one of the most insane things about Oppenheimer is that immediately after that bomb is made, he spends so much of his time trying, like, begging them not to use it.
Yeah.
Then he goes on spending the rest of his life
Life.
advocating and, like, being anti-wars,
Yeah.
anti-bombs. So he's literally spending the rest of his life, like, paying penance.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And the way he looks in that scene where he's old and they give him a medal, and you can just still see, like, the shock in him.
Hmm.
Man, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Cillian Murphy did a great one
He
with
did. I
that.
think this is his to lose. I can't really say much to any of
I
the
don't even think it's his
actors.
to lose. I think if they award anyone else, it would
Yeah.
simply be a robbery.
I agree. It cannot be Giamatti. I'm sorry. I
It
don't.
cannot be
It cannot be
Giamatti, bro.
Giamatti.
And, like, I love Jeffrey Wright's performance, but it was a great performance. I'm not gonna lie. It would have been
This
a
is
strong.
Rustin, right?
Oh no, Jeffrey Wright for American
Oh,
Fiction.
American Fiction. Sorry.
Yeah,
When the
it would
making
have
of
been a
John.
great performance, I think, in any other year,
Yeah.
but not in the year that you have Cillian Murphy. Not that
Yeah.
year. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
Um.
And okay, so now, moving on, we're going to Best Supporting Actor, and I want you to, who really made the film out of these guys? Who do you think really made the film? I know you haven't seen American Fiction, so
Yeah.
you don't really know Sterling K. Brown's character. In
Yeah.
my opinion, if you took him out of the film, it didn't change the story
Okay.
a ridiculous amount.
Okay.
De Niro in
I know
Killers
the
of the
answer
Flower
you're
Moon.
going for. I know the
I'm just
answer.
asking. I just want to know. I just
Oh,
want.
okay.
I'm not like, I'm actually not trying to set you up. But
Okay.
De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. Who do you think was the most pivotal?
Pivotal to the film. I'm going to answer your question, but pivotal to the film doesn't equate best supporting performance.
That is true. But
Yeah.
I'm saying their performance was so impactful.
I think it's Ryan Gosling.
Really?
I think it's Ryan
That's so
Gosling
interesting.
because if there's two answers to that question, it's Ryan and De Niro. But if it's pick one person whose role was most pivotal, Barbie is, because so much of the film is, I mean, one, statistically, he had the most screen, like in terms of relative to the runtime. Ryan had the
Absolutely.
most screen time out of the supporting
Out of
cast.
everyone else, yeah.
Yeah, but the story also is obviously, very woman centric. It's about womanhood and all of that, but it's juxtaposed a lot against Ken. The Barbies fighting over the Kens, the Barbies going into the real world, and Ken going into the real world and having a life changing experience. All of that, like the story kind of doesn't work without that aspect. Not just Ryan, just the Ken aspect of it all, because yeah. But then you also look at De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, and the story also kind of rests on him a little bit. So Yeah. Who's your pick, or who's your answer to that?
Okay, my problem is the same thing as yours. So I think the problem with Killers of the Flower Moon is that I know, man, I know DiCaprio is the male lead,
Mm-hmm.
but I wish he was like the supporting actor because he would have cleared. His
Yeah, he would have
performance
played
would have
this
cleared.
year. He would have
But De
played this year.
Niro's performance in this, absolutely insane. Especially when he shows no remorse at any point
Mm-hmm.
until
Mm-hmm.
the end. Like, you truly hate him.
Yep.
You truly hate him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great one. But again, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance to me was so TT, bro. Like, he almost went toe to toe with Killian.
Yeah.
My favorite scene is that scene where he's kind of found out, like, you know, the big unraveling scene
Yeah.
that the guy is having, and he's like, yeah, you kind of set everything up, and he's like, yeah, I basically did, and he's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like that's what you get for embarrassing me, and blah blah blah, and like right before Rami Malek's scene comes in and just like crashes
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
but that scene where he's doing the big reveal felt very much like a whodunit, and you know how I feel about those, but
Mm-hmm.
it just felt like so much better acting than a whodunit has ever had.
Bro, now I'm thinking about it. It could be Robert Downey Jr.
I think it should be him.
It could
Genuinely think
be
it
him.
should be him, but I don't know if they will do that to him or they will give De Niro
I
for
think,
the times that they've snubbed him in the past. The
yeah.
Oscars say they don't do that, but
What
I
they do,
really
we know
feel
they do.
we
We
know they do,
know
bro.
that they do. Please, that's their go-to. Um, but that's a very no. There's not too much talk about that because I guess anyone expected to get nominated got nominated except Charles Melton, which I'm very happy. No one's happier than I am that Charles Melton is not nominated for that because I just think whilst that movie was being heavily carried by the acting, I
Mhm.
think Charles is, how do I put this? Because Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman is so good in it. Everyone else is elevated in it. I personally didn't think Charles Melton got all that, like, has
I think
the,
he did. I think he did a great job.
he
I'm
did
not
a
gonna
great
lie.
job. He did a
I
great
think he
job.
did
He
a great
doesn't
job.
deserve to be amongst
I
this
don't think he
five.
did Oscar worthy job. Do you get me? I think
He
he did a
doesn't
great
deserve to be
job. I
amongst
think
this
he
five.
got his Gotham Award. I think he got like 2 other awards. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job, dude. But
Hmm.
like we're hyping it up a little bit more. It's getting like
That's
that
exactly
sexual
what I'm
abuse
saying.
tax.
Hmm.
That real life story tax also.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
I'm good with this.
But the thing is, I think also the Academy is not gonna be the ones to like let you make a movie about
About the
how
dangers of
actors
acting.
take themselves too seriously,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
go and embody and do some very shady things in the name of method acting,
Yeah.
you know, then give you an award for it. Like, no, come on, come on.
I know how that works.
Be happy that you made money with that. Like that's how it is. For the actresses in supporting role category, we have Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Naiad, and Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. And this is interesting because I remember when we did the predictions, you know, our little prediction tally that we had, I feel like Davine Joy Randolph was my pick. I think we both had her as the pick based on like the performance in The Holdovers. But I don't know, man. Emily Blunt
Don't
and
know.
Oppenheimer.
She is as locked as they come. Like
No, I
Randolph.
know that she's as locked as they come, but like
Yeah,
Emily Blunt and Oppenheimer, like Oppenheimer's wife,
I
that
know.
lost like it wasn't even like the debate, that
Yeah,
little trial scene that she had.
yeah.
It was so cooked. It was
It
so
was
good.
good. It was really good. And in a lot of years, she would have more of a shout. She would have at least one of the other wins, Globes, critics, something else. She would have something else.
She'd have something else for sure.
But Randolph, like I had said earlier in this episode, she's the heart of the holdovers and she's
Absolutely.
the soul of it, and it just flows through her. And so it's a tough year. But true to our hating gene, there's a sneak. I'm not gonna say names, but
I'm
there's a sneak.
screaming.
There's a very big sneak, so it's okay. But there's a sneak.
I think that's interesting that you would say that because for me, Man,
She's a
I
mess.
think it's just like the kind of films that get nominated. I feel like it gets to a point where you see that like some movies are not nominated because of the quality of the film. It's more so that the Oscars feel we have to have this kind of film nominated.
Yeah, but if you're making that, I don't think you know who I'm talking about
I know
with
who
my
you're
food.
talking about
Oh my
because,
god.
but
Okay.
you don't know who I'm talking. Okay, so you're talking about America Ferrera and
Yes.
Barbie.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm
exactly.
talking
That's my
about The
snake.
Color Purple and Nyad.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I don't think Brooks is a snake or not. I haven't seen Naya, so I can't say that.
No,
What I'm
Jodie
saying is,
Foster definitely cooked in Nyad,
okay,
but
yeah.
I just feel like the film was not good enough to get the nominations that it's getting
Oh, I see what you're saying.
as a whole. I think The Color
Okay,
Purple also is very much leaning on the cultural impact of the previous Color Purple
interesting.
because
I like
it's,
Danielle Brooks, so I'm not hating on that.
but yeah, for actors in supporting role, definitely locked in a Devine Joy Randolph. I really think Emily Blunt would have had a better shout in
In
another
another
year.
years,
In
yeah,
another year
I
for
think so.
sure.
I think
Um,
so.
I've watched the new Color Purple. Man, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I haven't seen it,
I have,
so
and I think maybe it's just like I've just kind of like phased out of those.
mhm,
Yeah,
that's fair.
yeah. I
Um,
think that's it. I think it might just be a personal taste thing now that I've just kind of phased out from
yeah,
certain kinds of films like that.
more than fair. Is there any other categories that pique your interest?
The next category, of course, animated feature film. So
Okay,
we kind of know this one is locked in, but
is
I feel
it?
like you are gonna have a problem with where it's going.
What luck are you saying? Which
Okay,
one?
let me go through the nominees. So the first
Okay,
one is The Boy and the Heron, Hayao
okay,
Miyazaki and Toshio Suzuki. Then there's Elemental by Peter
okay,
Stone or Zone
okay.
and Dennis Ream. Then there's Nimona with Nick Bruno, Troy Quayne, Karen Ryan, Julie Zachary. Then there's Robot Dreams, Pablo Berger, Yvonne Cormeneza, Ignacia Stape, and Sandri Tapim Diaz. Don't, what are you doing?
My
And
bad. Go on.
lastly, and obviously the least, Spider
You
Man.
see, the list is insane.
Spider
Okay,
Man across the Spider Verse.
okay.
Yeah.
So I can hear shouts for the boy and the heron. I can hear that.
Hmm.
I feel like how when was Miyazaki's last feature? I don't know whenever that was, but it seems like a lot of people were very excited for him to, or
Return to filming.
the studio to put out, yeah, a new film that was by him. I just think, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse achieved, superseded almost every metric,
Oh,
critically,
are we talking about
commercially,
commercial successes again?
no, critically, commercially, like in
Okay.
terms of the film itself, because the yardstick wasn't even an animated film. The yardstick was the first one, Into the Spider Verse. So that's what people were comparing it against. And the story, the music, everything held up.
You know what's interesting? I
Yeah.
feel like the music was actually a sore point for me when I watched it, especially towards the end. The score didn't
Okay.
flow
Why?
continuously, and that's why it felt like the film ended. Like there was so many points of tension in like the last 20 minutes based on the score. It just made it feel like
Yeah.
the film ended with, or like it's meant to end. Like, oh,
Yes.
like this is all right, we're about to get to the end of the film now. Oh, we're about to
Yeah.
get to the end of the film now. Oh, it's still going for another 5 minutes. Oh, it's still going for another 10 minutes. Like, do you get what I mean?
I get
It's
what you're
because of
saying.
how the
Yeah.
score just kind of felt. Like it was just like point of tension sounding and like, okay, this is the climax. This is like this no, not the climax, but this is the end.
Mhm. I
So
get
I
that.
really didn't like that part.
Is there some world that exists in which that was intentional? Like, is there a possibility that the filmmakers knew what they were doing and that was entirely intentional? I'm just saying. I think a
No,
lot of
I'm not
people.
saying it's an accident. Even if it
Okay.
was a directorial choice, I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's one I didn't enjoy.
Oh, okay. 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 Sure. I just want us to judge, something that we took away from a film if that was creative direction, if that was the purpose of that decision. But for me, I just think a lot of the reviews I've seen point to, oh, this is not a full film. A film has a setup, a middle and a conclusion or whatever.
Hmm.
And this has no, it just ends. There's no, and I'm like, you can't judge it based on that because that was the intent. Like it was a part one, you know. Maybe a lot of people did not know that before going in and they were caught by surprise. I just feel like
So do
judging
you
it.
so do you believe that we should not give awards to movies that are part one and part two? Like we should
I
wait for
no,
the
I
part two?
no, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. No, I'm saying people are judging it based on saying that you can't say this is better than that because it's not even a full film. Like it's half a movie, so you can't say that. And I'm like, that's stupid. It's a full film. You know, the fact that it's broken up and the fact that the concluding parts of that story are set in another film doesn't negate it being its own standalone film, which it is. So I just think if you're judging it harshly based on other metrics, fine, but not based on the fact that to you the story didn't complete. The story that I set out to accomplish was completed. Another character was introduced, another storyline was introduced that's going to be completed, but the story of Across the Spider Verse, which is to introduce the Spider Verse and to or not introduce because they already did that, but to take us across and like see, introduce these other characters, these other Spider Man and this coalition or whatever. That was accomplished. The Boy and the Heron is a good shout. I'm seeing Elemental tonight, so I don't know. I guess I'll see that.
You haven't seen
Nimona,
Elemental yet?
no, I'm watching
Well,
that
that's a fun
tonight.
time. It's a fun time.
Okay, Nimona, good shout. Not winning, but good shout. Also haven't seen Robot
I
Dreams.
haven't seen Robot Dreams, and that's the only thing
Yeah,
on this list that I haven't seen.
yeah.
I saw
I'm just
Pneumonia after our first episode, or second one, where
yeah,
you talked about it, and you talked about the controversy around it.
yeah.
And I want to tell you something, Steve.
What are you gonna say?
I know a lot of times it comes across like I'm just hating,
Yeah.
but I think I have to say that I am always ethical with my hating, with my critical analysis. I don't think I'm ever biased.
Okay.
It
What are
is
you
simply
trying to
not a
say?
good film. It is
It
simply
is
not a
not
good.
a good film.
Nimona is simply not a good film.
Well, you can't be wrong, and in this case, you are wrong.
Okay, brother.
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that you are wrong,
All
but
right.
you are. And the proof that it's a good film, it's so many animated films came out last year that were not nominated. This is one of the ones that the Academy felt was good enough to be part of the best five. Not that the Oscars are by the objectivity police or anything, but it was good. Like it's the controversy surrounding it doesn't negate that. It's an okay story. It's not nothing new, but it's a good film. Good animation style too.
I think it's a decent animation style, but it feels like it should have gone straight to Walmart. I'm just being dead ass. It feels like it should be in those $5 bins at Walmart. Then you stumble upon it when you're looking for a film to watch with your kids. It doesn't feel like it's a movie to be critically acclaimed.
It reminded me of Big Hero 6, I'm not gonna lie, and that won the Oscar for animated feature.
That's
So
interesting because I
it
feel
reminded
like
me that was even my letterbox review. I said like Gay Hero 6 because that's like all through I was watching it, all I could think of was Big Hero 6.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I don't appreciate you doing that to Big Hero 6 because that was one of my favorite films when I was growing up. You know,
fair
so
enough. So who's your pick?
my pick is easily The Boy and the Heron. It's
Okay,
easily The Boy and the Heron.
I think I'm sticking with. Plus, also half the country saw the dubbed version or the what do you call it? Yeah, the dubbed version, which is not good, is it?
Half the country saw the dub version of The Boy and the Heron.
Uh huh.
Yeah, but it's kind of obvious because, like, even Bong Joon-ho said it during his speech that Americans really hate subtitles. Like, I feel like the only time that we as a community were like, okay, we're gonna watch a film with subtitles was that movie with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt,
Quiet Place.
A
Oh,
Quiet Place and A
my
Quiet Place
favorite.
Part 2. And we did that because we were like, okay, this is a movie about, you know, it's the sign language is
Yeah,
inclusive, it's supportive,
yeah,
we're gonna do that.
yeah. I'm always I stick subtitles. Like I try to avoid dubs as much as I can, and there was only the dub version I was playing in the theaters next to me. So
I think the
But
dub
anyway,
version was pretty good though. Still,
it was because it wasn't a dub of the original. It was like shot with the voice cast, like the English.
yes,
So
yes, it wasn't
that,
just like a simple dub. It
yeah, yeah.
was it was an English version essentially.
An
It was an
English version.
English
Yes, thank you.
it was
That's
an
the word I
English
was.
short film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm still sticking with Across the Spider Verse and riding with that until the end. But we can
Okay.
move on.
So this is an interesting one that's going to go on, and I feel like there's going to be a snub here. There's going to be a crazy snub here. So the next one is cinematography, and the nominees are El Conde or El
Okay.
Conde by Edward Blackman, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. I think the snub is going to be Oppenheimer.
What do you mean by that?
I think they're not going to like Oppenheimer deserves to win, and they're just not going to give it to him.
If Oppenheimer doesn't win, I might be done, with this whole with whatever it is I enjoy about, rewarding films. I might just stick to watching
I
and
am
not
being very serious. I really think Oppenheimer might just not win.
very interested on you. I'm guessing Killers of the Flower Moon then
I
is who
think
you
they might either give it to Killer of the Flower Moon or they might give it to Poor Things. And it depends. If everyone's done crying about Maestro and how much better Maestro deserved, like they might feel guilty and give it to Maestro. But Maestro 100% does not deserve this. 100%. I don't care
I
how
think
many years
I think a
that
tricky part or a part
Bradley
that
Cooper
people
spent learning how to be a conductor.
I think a part that people I don't want to say mix up because people are intelligent. I just think like sometimes people um tend to get film editing with cinematography a little bit mixed up because you're editing the shots and you're editing the cut, like you're cutting the different shots and different whatever and stitching them together. And so
Mhm.
what people I'm saying all this to say I don't particularly think Maestro has that great cinematography. I think it's good. I think there's because it does the transition. Oh, not transition, but it does like some black and white in some place, and they look really good. And then there's color, and there's just like some grading or whatever, and it looks like a shot on film. I don't know if it was shot on film, but it looked like it was.
Mhm.
So it's great, but the editing is what I thought was really good for Maestro, especially when we have Bernstein, the conductor, and not the other versions of
But do you know what's interesting?
what.
Is that Maestro wasn't nominated for film editing.
Yeah, exactly. I tweeted that. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like it's so weird that you know that's not, and then the
Because
holdup
the
is
whole thing about Maestro is that it was shot and edited in a non-traditional biopic style. So them not getting nominated kind of
yeah,
means they failed at the main thing that they were trying to do. Again, ethical hating. I'm not the one hating this time. I'm just pointing out facts.
yeah, yeah. I think Hoyte van Hoytema, I just looked him up. I don't think he's won an Oscar for cinematography, which is insane to me. His pictures are very, very pretty and all. But I think this is it. This is his time.
Hopefully.
The way that camera, like first of all, the whole color for Oppenheimer for Robert, you know, black and white for second point of view, brilliant. And in cases where they're together, where it's both Uppy and other people, and the story's being told, that's your way of telling whose side the story's being told. I saw this clip on Twitter where they're at the table scene where they're talking about Russia has a bomb, and the way
Mhm.
the camera is an extra character. It's not for most of the film. Some of the film is visual effects, some of the film is just good old acting, but some of it, the camera actually is an added character. And the color might be one example, but the way we're flashing between scenes, the angles that we're looking at people from, it's just brilliantly done. I think it was a lot of intent that he put into this. It's not like he's done Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet. No, he's done a bunch of stuff where you see him go crazy with the camera, but this one just seems a lot more intentional. I I don't think that snub thing is going to happen here. I think this is one of the more like people are projecting it to win what, seven. I think if any of those seven or eight, whatever, fall out, I don't think cinematography is going to be one of them. I think this is
Really? That's
almost as
interesting.
locked as they come. I think the fault, like the snubs, will come in the acting categories. The technicals, sound, score, cinematography, those are as locked as they come. I'll be very surprised for any of those three to not go to Oppenheimer.
I definitely think so. I definitely on the same page.
Yeah.
But moving into another category, I don't want to get. I feel like it kind of. Okay, I'm gonna skip the category that I want to talk about right now because I feel
Yeah.
like it might seem a bit too much. Like
Okay.
I'm dogging on Barbie because this is in the costume design category.
Oh, costume design is not Barbie.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh,
gonna
that's not
feel like
Barbie.
I'm dogging on Barbie, but
It's
like
not
it's
Barbie.
not Barbie. What do you think it
Who,
is?
who do you think? I personally think it should be Poor Things. I
I
think it
think it
is.
should be Poor Things.
Yeah, I think it's Poor
I think
Things.
it should be Poor Things.
I think it should be Poor Things. Um, if anything, forget the rest of the cast. Great, costume design. Just Emma Stone herself, like
Just Emma Stone
just
herself,
herself, like
literally, like her costumes transitioning as she's transitioning through her like sexual
oh my
liberation,
god, the
bro.
words are out of my mouth, bro. Freaking hell. Speaking of added characters, that's an added character. That right there, yeah,
Man, it's like
it represents her growth
it
more than
literally
anything
represents
else.
her growth. It is literally representing her growth.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no. There's a
Like her
particular
fits had a coming of age.
yeah. Oh yes, yes, Ophelia, yes. They were growing with her. She was
They were
growing
growing with
because
her,
it's
bro.
all like for the most part, it's all adult dresses, right? So like how much can you do with that? But at the same time, you can tell the kind of like the dressing when she's a child and when she's younger versus like in that dance, that ball thing when
Yeah,
they were at that they had the dance thing. I think she had a yellow dress on, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is symbolizing the level that she's gotten into. But then that had nothing on when she was married to that rich asshole, and she had like this really green flowy dress that was very much like first lady or like
man, people need to watch Poor Things. I think
I'm like, how do you even do
I
this,
don't
bro?
know how that's. It feels like that skipped through a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Barbie
like
was nice though. Barbie was cool. They had some nice fits in
Bobby
there.
was cool. Yeah.
Got their roller skating thing on and all of that, pink and all. So yeah,
Oh man, never bring up that roller skating thing. That was one of my. That was that area
yeah.
was one of the worst things for me.
hmm And I don't want to make it sound like I'm not. I think Killers of the Flower Moon also had really good costume design. I
Pretty good,
wouldn't
yeah.
be the most disappointed person if that wins, especially because of the way the natives their dresses and the scarves. Like it's the scarf is a very key element to this theory. She talks about
Absolutely.
how this scarf has become a target on our backs and whatnot, and the dressing just feels very natural. Like you see or I don't know if I can call them that. Like Native Americans, you see them portrayed in other forms of art, and then you see this, and it doesn't feel like a film. It just feels like more like a documentary of some sort, and that's because like all of that was
Man,
very
it
the
is.
costume design
That's. I think
very
that's one of the
original.
things that like made me when I look back on
hmm
last year. I feel a little bit sad that we didn't do an episode focusing on Killers of the Flower Moon because there was so much
Yeah,
to talk about when we
there was so
finally
much.
got to
Yeah,
see it.
I mean 3.5 hours. There's so much. We
I
wouldn't be
know,
able
I
to cover.
understand it's 2.5 hours, but there was so much to talk about regarding
Yeah,
that film. Like, I think we could even do a character study on DeVito's character alone, De Niro's character alone.
very complicated. I will say, very complex.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely a bad guy. I think another character study that would be interesting is DiCaprio because that's the one that had discourse. People were arguing if he was the protagonist, not even the protagonist of the film. People were arguing about if it was the villain, if it was the hero.
I hated how like there was a subsection of film Twitter that kind of turned him into this sort of taken advantage youth character guy. Like, at one point they
Mhm.
were talking that he's mentally like stunted. I was like, no.
I think I saw a tweet saying that. I think I did.
And I was like,
Yeah,
no,
he was taken
that's
advantage by his uncle. Like he didn't know what he was doing. Okay,
yeah. I'm like, this is like now you're infantilizing him basically, just so that
yeah,
you don't have to feel bad that
yeah.
he wasn't like the smartest of guys, but he knew absolutely what he was doing.
What was going on? Yeah, and some of the hits, it seemed like he called them himself. Like he decided,
He
hey,
decided
this.
how they were going to go down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep, exactly. So he entirely knew us, and I felt like he was a villain.
absolutely.
Sure, there
And
was.
nothing will like shape my view. Like that scene where she sends the doctors away because she's scared.
Yes.
and he like lays it in on her. It's so much. It's not as directly racist as. Wait, sure. I'm being serious. It's not as directly racist as that Adam Driver scene in The Black Klansman. But man, that scene made me think, yeah, DiCaprio is calling people the N word behind their
I
back.
freaking died because we're
Like,
using Adam Driver.
yo, like that
For
scene made
yardstick
me feel like DiCaprio,
for
yeah,
racism in
he's death
show.
row racist, bro. Like,
So
no
funny.
way. It made me look through his filmography. I was like, has he worked under a black director? Like, would he?
So
Oh
funny.
my god.
Um, yeah, no, that scene it hurt because you could tell she just needed to be comfortable and she needed someone that she could trust, and she thought that was her husband, and turned out to be the devil all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, bro, The Killers of Flower Moon, man, that's masterful storytelling. DiCaprio, though, he had some character development at the end. I think that's why people are more sympathetic towards him because towards the end, he's turning a new leaf
I
almost,
think my problem with him was that he almost completely doubled down. Do you get me?
Hmm.
It was so
Yeah,
easy for his uncle to talk to him and him to like almost shut this whole. You
yeah.
get me?
It wasn't until his kid died that he was
Exactly.
like, okay, yeah, no, I owe this,
I
to,
exactly.
yeah. But good film. But yeah, no, Poor Things is my pick for that. I'm surprised you didn't see anything of Napoleon. Oh no, sorry,
No,
Ferrari.
I
Ferrari
enjoy
was your film.
Napoleon, but
Ferrari was
there
your
was,
film.
how do I
Napoleon.
say this about Napoleon without sounding like a hater? There was just way too little exposure, bro. I could not see in the
Mhm.
film.
Yeah,
I could not see what was going on.
I'm glad things like that don't get rewarded anymore, bro.
Bro, I'm like, what is going on?
Dark as a color equates dark as a theme style or a film style, and it's like, bro, let's just see. You can make it a noir without us being feeling like we're blind, bro. Like, let's just see.
Man, and like I wore my glasses, I changed seats, like I got closer to the screen. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
okay.
But the next category is directing, which I feel like we're on the same page with that one.
Are
I
we?
feel like if Nolan doesn't win, it feels kind of
Oh,
weird.
okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that I also think that like it's not simply that Oppenheimer is a much better directed film than Anatomy of a Fall or Killers of the Flower Moon. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a great film, but it's also elevated by the fact that I think they're going to do that thing where they didn't award Nolan for like his previous great film.
Okay, I agree. I
And I
I
feel
agree.
like that tax is coming in
Yeah.
because almost all of his previous films are getting more acclaim as they grew, like as time goes on.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
even
People are
Tenet that everyone
realizing.
was talking shit about.
I'm
Like
not liking
that's
this revisionism that's going on Twitter right now. I'm not
about what?
liking it at all. About Tenet. No, go on. Sorry.
Oh, what revisionism?
People are. It's more praise as time passes. More praise. More praise. More praise for it. It's
But
being.
it was a good film. Like Steve, what are you talking
Had
about?
this conversation how many times? No, it was. He set out, and I put it in the same category as Dunkirk in his filmography. It's not a bad film. I don't want people to think I think it's bad. I just think he set out a purpose. I think his filmmaking style is confusing to the layman,
Hey,
right?
I knew you were gonna come with that elitist thing right now. I knew you were gonna come with that elitist thing. Right?
Filmmaking
That
style. But
that
none of our
whole you
listeners,
have to be smart enough to understand the film.
none of our listeners are lay people, so that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying
Listeners, he
it's
said you are all smart people. He said push
it's a,
your SATs, push your LSATs, push your
it's a different
MCAT.
case when you feel like, okay, this is not just Nolan's filmmaking style. Like he's intentionally trying to be confusing or trying to make a very convoluting film for I don't even know what term to use. You saw the video of the Peloton instructor saying, "What was that? What was that about?" Like that was so
Yeah.
confusing. That's how 75-80% of the audience feels leaving the film. You can't say the same for Oppenheimer. People don't leave Oppenheimer saying they're confused. People don't leave Interstellar saying Interstellar maybe a little bit, but
No,
like for and
absolutely.
the
People left
general,
Interstellar feeling the
yeah, like
same.
a little
I
bit,
think
but like
I think
on
the
the
thing about
whole,
Interstellar is that I think the thing about Oppenheimer actually is that there are films like again, like we talked about this. You even referenced this earlier, and I talked about this like in previous episodes. Like you kind of have to take watching films as like knowledge building. It sounds weird, but like if the more time movies that you watch, the
Mm-hmm.
less time as a character becomes such a confusing thing for people. And that's just how I feel because I think I even watched Memories of
You said
Murder.
that before, by the way.
The same thing.
Yeah,
I'm happy
the
that I'm consistent. If there's one thing I am, it is consistent. Like what do you mean? If there's one thing I am, it is consistent.
yeah,
And like example is like Memento that he made, Memories of Murder. Even like you're watching like rom-coms like about time. Do you get me? Like movies where time becomes a character or an important element,
yeah.
you kind of get it. Like it becomes it becomes easier to digest some of the ideas of what they're doing with time.
When you've seen a lot more, yeah,
Yeah, like once you've experienced more of it. And I think that's like one of the major things why people were like, oh, like, oh my God, I'm confused. I'm confused. Like, oh, what was that? Like, do you get what I mean?
yeah. I do.
It's kind of like similar to when people watched Inception and they're like, oh, that was so confusing. That was so confusing. Like, oh, it's a dream within a dream within a dream. What's going on? Like, yeah.
But again, like similar to that, you understand that. I don't know. Let's not. Long
I feel
story
like we
short,
would need like our own like podcast.
yeah,
Like we need an episode that focuses on this topic itself.
yeah, and we're at 30, so I don't want to. Oh, an hour, so I don't want to do
We
all
don't
of
need
that.
to extend this a lot
Yeah,
more.
but long story short, here's my pick. Up, Nolan's my
Oppenheimer is
pick.
the pick. Okay. I have one more that I feel like is pretty interesting for me and you, and it is musical score.
Musical score.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little,
Original score.
yeah, I'm a little
I'm not talking about
conflicted.
original song. We're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about original score.
yeah. I'm a little conflicted because the ones I even wanted to get nominated, across the Spider Verse, obviously did not get nominated. Like the one I was saying, okay, you can, be a toe. Of the nominees, I don't know why. John Williams, love obviously his older work. He's he's done a lot. He's gotten to this stage where, and I haven't seen Indiana Jones, obviously, so this is just me
No, I was
talking.
gonna say I think you're about to hate on the Indiana
This is me.
Jones score without
This,
experiencing it.
this is me being a hater, obviously, but it's like one of those things where we feel like because someone has done a lot and they've been so good and very accomplished, and everything they do must be good. Like you cannot tell me that the Indiana Jones, the fifth or sixth one, first without Scorsese, oh sorry, Spielberg, is that good? Is good enough for you to nominate him over as top five, especially in a year when music for a lot of films were so good.
So
Um,
good, man.
the Barbie score. Let's not. Maybe it's a little juvenile to say it should be nominated, but if we're nominating Indiana Jones, that's also that type of film, like franchise, like big studio, whatever. Then why would you? What's to say that you can't put in the Barbie
Can I
score?
tell you something crazy?
If you're nominating the Indiana Jones, what's to say we can't put Across the Spider Verse when the scores are really good as well?
Can I
Sorry.
tell you something
Yes.
crazy about the Barbie score?
Yeah.
I feel like if Barbie didn't drop an album as part of their marketing, which is essentially the score, I feel like it would have been nominated.
Interesting.
That sounds weird, but I think what I feel with the Academy is that they don't really like when you almost get too much validation and acclaim. Do you get me? I feel like the Academy, they themselves are
They're,
hating.
they're trying to be different.
Yeah, they're trying to be different. And it's like, oh, the album came out and like people loved it. Plus, they also generated income from that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. But I think without a doubt,
Without a
it's
doubt. Yeah,
Oppenheimer.
this is definitely Oppenheimer. I was
It's
listening to the
Oppenheimer.
score. After I rewatched it, as I entered the train, I hit download because of like service and stuff. I hit download and just closed my eyes and just took it in, bro. He
Bro,
said, "Can you feel the music?" And I'm like, "Bro, I can actually feel it. Like,
you
I
can
promise you,
actually feel.
I can."
Isn't it? Can you hear the
Yes.
music? My guy, relax.
Sorry, my bad. I
But
can hear it. I
bro,
can feel
I've
it,
said
bro.
this multiple times. And like I think it's the effect of just that one song. Can you hear the music? It really
Yeah,
carries you so far.
yeah.
And it's
No,
funny because like I've played it for my aunt, and she loves using. No, I'm being very serious. Like she loves using it while she paints.
this is so funny.
I'm being dead ass. And like, there's another thing that's happened, and I don't want to say it because you're gonna. I know we're wrapping up the episode now, but I feel like you're gonna have more questions. But I'm just gonna get out and say it. So I think I was like, since I was young though, like primary school,
Yeah, yeah,
I used to listen to. Was this primary school? Probably secondary school actually.
okay.
Secondary school, I used to listen to Many Men before like football games. You get me? Before maybe I'm playing
That was your
pickup
hype song.
basketball.
That was your
You
hype
know,
song.
yeah, just to wake the dog in me. You know, because because even if you're having like a you're having like a mid game, you can always show out if you have dog.
I swear on
If
everything, you
you
are not
have
a real
dog, if you're in a day that like your tech isn't kicking like that,
You are
you
not a
have
real
enough
person,
dog,
bro.
you can push through. And let me tell you right
You are
now,
not a real person.
before my runs, I listen to Can You Hear the Music now, bro? What? Before I play footy, can you hear the music, bro?
You are not a real person,
I
wallahi.
tell you, man, it opens my blood vessels. Everything is going, everything's flowing, bro. Because I've said this a couple of times to my friends. Like honestly, if I heard "Can You Hear," if this movie came out in undergrad for me, I would have had a
Yeah,
4.0 throughout.
I think you told me that before.
I would have
Yeah,
had this plus Adderall 4.0 throughout. What are you
I
talking about,
completely agree, bro. No, that score has to get. I don't
man?
think it's up against the only other one that I. That's what I was going to say. Is the only other score I really really liked was Killers of the Flower Moon, surprisingly, because
No, Killers of Time.
it started off mellow, so I didn't like it, and then there's like there's because it's native. There's like a few drums. Drums are very
Yeah,
key.
it's like it's percussion heavy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. So, that's a very key instrument, but it's accompanying the story really, really well. And then for me, even what justifies its nomination, or if it was to win in an alternate universe, would be that extra, what do you call it, the epilogue, where they're acting like it's a radio show, and
Yeah.
they're like Marty himself comes in and is like,
No, I
"Yo,
know what
man,
you're talking about. I know what you're
yeah,
talking
that and the use of instruments in that too. I don't know if that counts into the score, but just that whole epilogue scene, and then the scene where we look at them from above and they're dancing around. The music is just beautiful. It feels very original. Again, like I said, it feels very documentary, and the music is just so inspired and very original. But unfortunately, it should be. This is Oppenheimer's to lose. Let's do one more, though. I want to do production design.
Okay, production design.
Yeah,
Give me a second. Let me look at the nominees for that.
because I
Actually,
have
you tell me. Tell me the
okay,
nominees.
okay. Production design, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Sorry, this includes set decoration as well. So production and set decoration.
No problem.
Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things.
The problem with this is that immediately for me, it's like war films always kind of take an edge.
They do, right? But war
Napoleon
film,
Napoleon kind of gets an edge because it's the only film that is you actively see the war scenes. Like
okay.
Oppenheimer would count, but there are
Mhm.
no clips of the planes or any of the war that's actually going on. So
Yeah.
Napoleon kind of takes it a little bit further, but I feel like I don't know, man. I
So
really
what I was going to say is, alongside maybe supporting actor, I think this is one of the most evenly balanced categories, because honestly, any of these films could win and I would not be that disappointed,
absolutely,
including
absolutely.
Napoleon and
Any of
Barbie.
this could win, and I
Yeah,
would not feel a type of way.
yeah. My pick is a way. I think favorite might be Four Things or Kill. I don't even know.
I think the favorite is Poor Things. I think my pick would be Killers of the Flower Moon.
My pick is Barbie. Yeah,
Interesting.
my pick is Barbie because, bro, how many films cause a nationwide shortage? These
That is
motherfuckers
true.
cause a
That is
nation
true.
like a global shortage of pink, bro.
That's true.
And it's They
That's
created a
dedication.
town, basically. They created a Barbie world. That's not easy. And it looked so intentional. It looked so. I use that word so much. I'm sorry, but it looked so. The Casa Mojo Dojo Casa
Yeah, that's what I was
houses.
gonna say. Like even
Everything feels like a
when there's a
Barbie
shift in like the Barbie world, like the
and
production
real
design
world.
is matching that shift.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I personally think Greta put a lot of thought into this.
But I think the
Again,
thing that Barbie already kind of has an edge in this, which is like good for them because the whole Barbie world, Barbie Dreamhouse
well,
world,
because it
Barbie
has a source material. Is that what
she
you're
has
saying?
the source material and it's all world building. Like the way Barbie is that it's marketed to kids, or it was an all time marketed to kids in a way that like
Mm-hmm.
you can't really just have one Barbie. Like you have to have a Barbie world. You have to have multiple
Yeah,
Barbie items. And
interesting. I had not thought of that.
so I think Barbie does have the edge there
Mm-hmm.
in terms of that. And I think also the way Barbie just again in this way, it just kind of really appeals to nostalgia.
Yeah.
So I think they did a great job because they had to.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think they also should be. I think you're right. I think they should be awarded. I think they
Yeah,
should
I
be
think it was,
awarded.
and again, not to say all of them, anyone could win. Bro, Oppenheimer, they created a town in Los Alamos.
Exactly.
Poor,
They
poor
created a town
things.
to mimic the created town in Los Alamos. Like,
Yes, exactly.
come on.
And this, yeah, no, and Poor Things as well. I don't even know. I could not tell you where Poor Things was set because everything is just, bro. There's the dog that had the head of a chicken, or the pig that had the head of a chicken, or that city, that fictional city where they were in. Like the set just looked
It was
so
perfect.
like it was what?
I said it was perfect.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So, yeah.
It was
So
perfect.
anyone could win. I would not be that mad. My pick is Barbie for that, and I think a lot of people are going to be divided on that one. Because of Farm one too. Oh my god. But yeah, I think this is a good point to cut it.
I
I
think
hope
it's a
you've
great point to cut it. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of TCA. We look forward to when the Oscars are actually airing and comparing our thoughts to how
yeah,
we actually feel then.
yeah.
Do you have any
Yeah.
recommendations for films that you're watching now? Something maybe on
Films,
Netflix, like an easy watch.
films. I haven't been on Netflix in so long. I might go. I think Nad is on Netflix now, so I think I might go have to hop back on to watch that. Recommendations. I'm just doing the Oscar, like the films I haven't seen. So
Hmm.
I would say, Zone of Interest. A24 announced yesterday that
I
they're
think
expanding.
that's expanded.
Yeah, so they're expanding the release to major cities today, i.e., this weekend, and then nationwide next week. So I would say see that as much as you can. For one, we support independent cinema, so try to see that in theaters if you can. But also, it's good cinema as well. So go watch a good film. It's nominated for a bunch of Oscars, so
I
can't
will
be bad.
say, just to prep people, Zone of Interest is a film about a German officer whose house kind of shares a wall with Auschwitz, and essentially,
I did
it's
not know that at
you didn't know that.
all.
Oh
I
yeah,
did
that's
not
what Zone
know
of
that.
Interest is. And the thing is that there's been a
Oh,
lot
I'm
of
watching this. I'm watching this. Go
okay,
on.
so there's been a lot of movies about the Holocaust
Mhm.
while showing the brutality of the Holocaust as one of like the major elements. But with this film, you don't really see any of it. All you do is hear because they share a wall. And it's interesting to me because there is like hearing someone die and seeing them die, where like your brain is making sense that okay, this person is dying. But when you just can only hear the shrieking or the screams, I feel like it might be a bit more of a different experience. And I don't know. Like I'm interested in the film. I'm ready to see it because like we said, the limited release was very limited. It was very very
It's very,
limited.
very good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I would say if you don't think you have the stomach, don't watch it. But it is a good film. I will say that.
And the
That's what the
expansion is
critics
not
are saying.
just
It's a great film.
yeah, and the expansion because I know this. I was checking the stats and I see we have some listeners in Germany. So the expansion is not just US. Next week as well, it expands nationwide in the US and in other countries. It releases in other countries as well. So I guess someone A24 just needed the Oscars to wake them up because they've been sitting on this for a while now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if you're abroad, go see it. It's really good. And yeah, that's my recommendation. Until next time.
Okay. I think for me, I will focus on a slightly different recommendation, something more accessible. I think a great film that you could watch on Netflix right now is Kitchen. That is Daniel Kaluuya's directorial debut. It is a film that has Kano. Kano is Sully from Top Boy, and that if you kind of want like a different vibe to that, the film is a bit futuristic, and it's about gentrification and what could happen with council flats and just like affordable housing. And there's also like a posthumous era, like there's a vibe to it that's like futuristic and about death and moving on. But I would say it's a great film. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Especially
it feels
like
very Londony too.
What do you say?
I said it feels very like Mandem-y, like UK Mandem Roadman, because
yeah, kind of. So I will say that it's a good movie for you to like sit down and just watch. It's dialogue heavy, but the visuals are pretty good, and there are parts of it that are really fun. So
we'll talk about that on the next episode.
Yeah, most likely we'll talk about Kitchen on the next episode. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you have a good time. We're out.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.